What's up, guys? You are listening to HVAC Masters of the Hustle podcast, and this is your host, J-Dub Moneymaker, and welcome to episode 108, you guys. I got a great episode for you, but before we roll into the episode, I wanted to let you guys know I got a big event May 27th and May 28th, a two-day on-site event in Vacaville, California. The seats are filling up fast. So if you guys want to join that event, it is a live networking training event. There's going to be 50 plus people there. You could go to my website, www.hvacmastersofthehustle.com. And I'm going to go ahead and float the website out the bottom of the screen as well. And for all my new listeners out there, first off, I want to say smash the subscribe button, because this podcast is helping thousands and thousands and thousands of people get to the next level. So I'm super excited. And for all my new listeners out there, or all my current listeners out there, I just want to say your emails that I've been getting every single day, I want to say thank you. Keep them coming, because this podcast is helping thousands and thousands and thousands of people get to the next level. And man, do we have a great episode for you guys today. I was out there in Texas about 3 weeks ago, and Alco Heating and Air, the owner, the GM, the operations manager, he wears every hat there, it seems like. Let's welcome the one and only JP Trenel. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Jason, I'm good. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. So tell my listeners a little bit about yourself. How did JP get into the HVAC industry and have such a large impact in Texas out there?
Probably about like 98% of the rest of the people that get into the business. So my grandfather was a Navy CB, and he was stationed over in Okinawa, and he'd kind of got his feet wet in refrigeration as a Navy CB. So when he come back to the States, he kind of went into working on car vehicles, and started doing air conditioning on those. Well, then that turned into refrigeration. And so he started his own refrigeration company. And then just like him, my father got into it. And then when I graduated high school, I was messing around at a little junior college here, and I was having too much fun. And Dad come to me and he said, "Look, you're gonna have to come to work, dude."
No more fun,
right? So, I come to work. Man, I started as a new construction helper. I mean, I was running duct work, doing a lot of new construction installs, and then so did that, and then went into the install side. Everyone here will tell you I'm not the greatest installer, so I'll admit I'm not the greatest when it comes to. I know how it should look, but I'm not the greatest at transitions and metalwork and stuff. So I spent a short time there, and then I went into service, and felt like I excelled in service, and then went into a sales role. I was a primary salesperson for 6 years here, and then got moved into the general manager position. And, at that point, me and Dad talked, and we're like, all right, he basically asked me, where do you want to take the business? And I said, well, yeah, that's a good question.
Level.
Right. And, I didn't know, living here, and, I would consider a small town in Longview, population of probably around 80,000. I didn't know what was available. I didn't know, that there's these $100 million HVAC companies out there, right? I'm like, so when I found this stuff out, and just through some of these best practice groups or Facebook groups, you really find out that the sky's the limit. And so I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's go big or go home, right? So, anyways, as soon as you left, we actually closed in that whole front part of our office right when you walk in, and so we're building our call center out right now. And man, we're just gonna hit it and hit it hard. Excited.
Absolutely.
So
with you being a technician and you excelling in that, what was some of your great successes as a technician, and what did you do or have to train to do to get to that type of level?
Man, so honestly, the biggest attribute that I can say is just being able to talk to a customer on their level. And that came pretty easy for me, very natural as far as, being able to talk to people and not shy or anything like that. But I felt like I could relate to the customer on multiple levels, because there's multiple different types of personalities out there that, some people you have to relate to completely different than another person, right? And I feel like that's probably one of my biggest attributes is being able to relate to different personalities in a way that is relatable to them.
Absolutely. So talking about being a chameleon, right? There's different personalities that we have to deal with in this industry, and we always have to adapt and be different depending on who we're sitting in front of. So for my listeners, I want you guys to know that you got to have different personalities that you got to go to. You got to have fun with what you're doing. Have fun with that person in front of you, just like Justin said, and that's really part of his growth and his success is how to take care of his clients, because I was out there for a week and man, everybody in the city of Longview knows him and his family. So talk about that a little bit, being a huge figure in your community we'd walk around and have dinner and everyone's like, oh my God, it's the Tremmels. What's up? How you doing?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah. So, my family's been here, since the 70s, that's when my grandparents, my mama and papa, got here. My mom and dad met at the local high school here, Pine Tree High School. So yeah, I can go into most homes and I can visually look around, and I would probably say three quarters of the time, 75% of the time, I can put a face with a name and kind of start building that bridge per se. And they're like, oh, okay, so this person. I said, yeah, actually, I went to school with them, or my mom and dad went to school with them, or something like that.
Some generation did.
Right. And it's definitely nice to know a lot of people in the community. I was heavily involved in all kinds of sports growing up, not only in my local school, but I ventured out and did some travel ball. Of course, we race moto, so
let's talk about that real quick. So first off, moto life, because I've lived the moto life, right? That's a big dedication right there. That's a lot of hard work. That's a grind in itself. So when you were growing up and doing moto, and you were doing HVAC at the same time, how did you really work-life balance that with your hobby that you like, traveling, racing all the time, and then doing HVAC and having your parents also still build a company?
Yeah. So funny story was, and my dad tells this story all the time, but that's a lot of where my mannerism, I guess, if that's the right word, comes from. But he tells this story all the time. They had an old 80 something Ford Bronco, the little small one. Well, this was probably in the early 90s. He was taking me to the racetrack, and he looked at me and he said, look, it's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. If those words are not spoken, or when you're asked a question, if those words are not used, we're loading up and we're going home. That's all there is to it. So that taught me at a young age. The manners and how to, I guess just be polite.
Yeah, respect, right?
Respect, yeah.
People. Absolutely.
But so yeah, me and my dad did end up having to have like a heart to heart when I was around 20, because I had a bad accident and broke my collarbone, which is pretty normal in sports like that to definitely a collarbone break. But the way it happened, it really scared my dad to death. And that's probably only one time I've seen him cry. We were on the way back, headed to the hospital, and he goes, "Are you done riding?" I said, "No, man, I'm going to get surgery and get fixed up, and I'll be back at it." He looked at me, he goes, "All right, pause." He goes, "I know you love to do this, but look, you're 20 something years old. You need to focus on your career. And, who's to say, in the future, you don't start riding again." Mm-hmm. So that's when I had to put the brakes on for a little bit, for about 10 years. And, then I started back riding about a year and a half ago, and, being in the position that I'm in now, it allows me to, do that.
Yeah. And there's nothing like holding a throttle wide open, just burning a turn, going to hitting a triple or double, huh?
Oh, no. And the funny thing about all that is, there's people do lots of things. I've done lots of things. I've tournament bass fished and all that stuff. And dirt bikes are the only thing that I can do that I can clear my mind.
Absolutely.
The only thing. Because I don't have anything else to really be able to think about while you're on it. But so yeah, I've enjoyed that. It's one of those things that allow me to escape for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm super competitive, which translates into business. I feel like a lot of my drive just comes from my competitiveness to do better, do more, and a lot of that comes from moto and baseball and everything else.
Absolutely. Let's talk about really quick, when I was out there, your employees. You have really good employees, right? What is your process in order to get the team that you have? For maybe some of my listeners that are trying to bring on good employees for summer right now, what did you do?
So basically, I have Danny, which is, you met Danny. He's our lead service technician, senior tech. He's been with the company for 20 plus years. I don't know the exact, but he's been there that long. But man, the rest of my guys didn't have any experience, none. And so we send them to training. Kind of just gotta, when you're hiring someone, I want to be able to kind of have that when they come in for an interview. I want to be able to have that loose feeling, that real, like I almost kind of had a buddy, over on the other seat that, could hold a good conversation with me. And that's what I look for the mostly is someone that can hold a conversation. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what I look for. A big thing for us has been actual employee referrals, right? So, if we have an open position, the first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, any of you guys have a buddy, that would like to, learn the trade. And that's worked out really well.
So you like to bring them in based off personality, not skill level, and we could teach the skills. Right?
Absolutely.
When it comes to working on the system and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's a really good way to bring them on as well, because you have no one having bad habits. You get to train your guys from the ground up, and really you're looking at personality and if you can hold that conversation with the homeowner, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you can hold a conversation with me, you can hold a conversation with the homeowner easily. So,
well, let's talk a really quick about culture, because you
yeah.
have a great culture in your company too. You know, all the guys that I rode along with absolutely love you. So what are some things that you do monthly, weekly, daily to make sure that you continue that great culture in your company?
So we have our weekly service meetings. You know, where you know, one of the big things is we like to celebrate successes. You know, I love to celebrate successes, right? And other people do too, you know. So we you know, we all celebrate our successes. We all have a text thread going where, you know, when Connor or Sean or someone, you know, uh, sells a job, we're like, bam, you know, hey, congratulations. Or who set this lead? Sydney set this lead. Sydney set a lead the other day, and Connor went out on it and closed, and it was like 17-9. And so I wanted to call Sydney out in that process and you know, give them an attaboy for that, because that was, you know, that's a big job for us, you know, here, 17-9. So
absolutely. And an attaboy goes so far, you guys. I mean, it sounds so simple, but when we don't know how someone woke up that day, right? Everyone has a different way of life. I mean, some people wake up on the wrong side of the bed, right? And it might just be that attaboy in the morning, or you just noticing that they've done something for the business, or, you know, passing the baton off, that you just say, hey, great job on that. Goes so far.
So, you know, and we're a smaller business. I think we have 23, 24 employees right now. But I'm still heavily involved in all aspects of it. And I try to make a touch on each employee every day. So whether, you know, it's in passing, just giving a high five, shooting a text saying, hey, you know, hope you have a good day. Is there anything that you need from me? Just, and really being heavily involved. And it's funny when if I go out of town or go on vacation or something, and I'm not actively texting the guys, they're texting me. Mm-hmm. Hey, everything okay? Yeah, man, I'm just on vacation.
yeah, right. So let me ask you, you know, so some of my listeners might be transitioning into an owner position, or a position like you did, transitioning from management to really your dad stepping out. What's really been the biggest struggle for you since stepping in kind of a leadership role over the whole company?
Oh man. So my biggest struggle, and I struggle with it today, and I'm sure, you know, lots of people struggle with it, but delegation. Dude, that's my biggest thing, because I've always been one of those that if I can do it, I just do it myself and not ask anyone else. But when you start wearing, you know, a bunch of different hats, and you know, I've started passing hats off, you know, to key people in my team, on my team. But you know, it's to be able to delegate, you know, better, you know, for sure. Delegation is my biggest struggle. That kind of puts me outside of my comfort zone, for sure. So, you know, again, delegation is probably my weakest point, but that's something that, you know, I've had to come to Jesus with myself. And like, hey, dude, it takes it takes everyone in this company doing their part to make this thing work, and not one person can build a business and build a successful one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, me being a new national sales trainer, right? I'm all in, and this is my first year doing it. And that's something that, you know, as I'm building my team, I have 5 employees right now, but that's something that I'm learning. When I started the podcast, it was all mine, right? And I had control of everything. But as I continue to grow and I'm booked out over a year doing 5 a month, I have to start bringing in trainers and marketing directors and operations managers, because if not, everything gets spread and things fall through cracks, right?
Yes.
And balls get dropped and this happens. So the fact that you could see what you need help with, as most of my listeners, as you said, probably have that same issue, but it goes a long ways understanding what that issue is.
Yeah. And I realize that. And so that's kind of one of those top of mind things for me is I know that's one of my weaknesses. So I have to stay on top of that and, know that, hey, delegating is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It's actually a good thing. It helps the company.
Absolutely.
And, so, yeah, it's been tough, but we're good. I mean, I have, like I said, I have key team members that I can go to and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Let's brainstorm. Let's do this. And they'll take it from there, and then they'll bring it back to me and be like, okay, here, this is what I found, and man, it's worked really well. Really well.
Absolutely. And talking a little bit, Justin, about trainings, or not really trainings, but meetings, right? How often do we need to sit down with our team members and go over goals and things like that to keep this stuff in front of them?
So we go over our monthly budget with the team members once a month. But we touch on it in our meetings weekly, right? Mm-hmm. So the guys constantly, know where, the service department is, knows where the install department is, knows where plumbing department is, knows where the maintenance department. So they know at all times where they're at on a weekly basis, mm-hmm. each department, and they truly like it. I was, when I started doing that about 4 years ago, I was like, man, some of these guys are going to hate this, and then they're going to think, oh, all he talks about is money. That wasn't the case. I mean, that was in my head. Mm-hmm. And then when I started doing it, the guys are like, all right, cool. Yeah. And when they hit budget, they're like, I mean, they're pumped, right?
Absolutely. So, and again, it's the creation of that culture that you continue to have in everything. Talking a little bit about some training that you've done, you've had me out there, you've done multiple trainings. How important is it to train your staff and to invest in them?
It's huge. I don't know if there's anything better you can do for your employees other than, having them trained, training with me is different than training with Jason Walker, right? But so training's huge. It's a big part of our culture here. The guys enjoy it. I mean, they love learning new things, right? Both technical and from a communication standpoint with the customer.
Absolutely. What do you think the big takeaways with your employees and yourself when I was out there for the 3 days?
So the biggest thing that I guess that we weren't doing that we should have been doing, and most, I would probably say most of us do, man, we undervalue what we do.
Absolutely.
Putting a value on our warranties and putting a value on our guarantees. We take those things for granted, but you shouldn't.
No, absolutely not.
No, because they, again, at the end of the day, if you're gonna stand behind those warranties and guarantees 100%, there's a dollar amount should be associated with that, right?
Yep.
And I really just, not undervaluing, what we offer. I think we all do it.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I teach when I'm inside, right, is I train the guys. I hear all the time the biggest objection is we're so high. We're priced so high. We're so much higher than everyone else, right? But when you guys could go into an appointment and educate a homeowner on your in-house guarantees and have them put a dollar figure on it, right? You got to have them put a dollar figure on it before you present your pricing, because that will bridge that gap, right? If they throw $3,000 or $4,000 of values of your in-house guarantees and your competitor doesn't have those written down, that's what separates you guys. So then you put it back on the homeowner, right? And you say, what guarantee do you want to take out? You're the one that valued this at $4,000, and you have to do that before presenting price, just like Justin said, because if you don't, then all of a sudden you're going to try to create value on your warranties you already went over. They're already going to know what game you're trying to play, and it's not going to work in your favor. So always being a couple steps in front of your homeowner is very important, right, Justin?
No, that was huge. That was huge when you showed that to the guys. I'd never even been taught that, and I thought that was huge. I thought that was a game changer. Bridging, helping bridge that gap when it comes to a price objection or something.
Absolutely. And, as you run in the company, what are some things that you look for, or what you've been doing that's been successful potential in your market for marketing?
Man, so like tune-ups are huge for us. I mean, it's, what is it, April 9th? And it's, or low 70s. So it's not demand driven right now. Right.
No.
And, so tune-ups. And that's one reason that, we're building this call center out, is so that, we can do even better in keeping the schedule full.
Absolutely.
Because if the schedule's not full and, call count's not being made, then, at the end of the day, budgets aren't going to be made if your call counts aren't made.
Absolutely. So what is kind of your daily structure when you come in the morning, or management team comes into the morning, to make sure that the board looks good as of opportunities? How many appointments are on the board, and how do you guys delegate who runs what calls?
So, this actually starts taking place the day before right now. So the day before, we're come probably around 1 o'clock. We're looking at tomorrow's schedule already. Seeing what's available. I'm working with Brandon, our HVAC manager, working closely with him, saying, okay, we've got these 10-plus-year-old systems. We need to put these on this guy, because he's hot right now. He's flipping a lot of leads, and they're selling on top of that. And so we're constantly, looking at the dispatch board for the opportunity. Even, going, if we don't have the information that we need on that call, we're digging back 2 or 3 calls before to see, all right, okay, yes, this actually is an opportunity, because this system wasn't marked correctly, and this is actually a 15-year-old system versus a 5-year-old system, and they've had this many repairs. So working real closely with Brandon on making sure that there's opportunity there, and that the right guys getting to the right call. And then that morning, the morning of, so like this morning, Brandon got here, kind of talked to him. I said, all right, what do we have on the board for today? And he told me. I said, okay, sounds good. And then the 8 o'clock, the magic starts happening, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, then your team, you have the Spartans go out there and they go make stuff happen, right? And we talk about passing the baton off. It starts with answering the phone, setting them up right, then passing it to the technician, passing it to the comfort advisor, passing it to the installation team is very important. So, Justin, I got listeners from business owners, dispatchers, CSRs, comfort advisors, service technicians, and installers. What would you like for them to get out of this episode of HVAC Masters of the Hustle?
Oh, man. Just enjoy what you do every single day. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I enjoy walking through those doors because I know I'm going to have fun, right? And if I'm having fun, then most likely we're making money too, right?
Absolutely.
But no, the biggest thing is just the grind. You know, I mean, every day, give 110%. You know, if for some reason you fall short and give 80% one day, give 120% the next day, right? Mm-hmm. And just enjoy life, enjoy the people that you work with, and you know, don't sweat the small stuff.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, JP, for being a guest in the hot seat, brother. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you very much.